This lady looks just like I feel because I'm so frustrated. Welcome, everybody. This is the Dread Pirate. Welcome to a whole new show, Frustrated Players Corner. So, not that I'm really all that frustrated to begin with, but I figured I wasn't sure what to call this, but basically, much like Frustrated DM's Corner, I was gonna talk a little bit give a little insight on some of the games I was running or frustrated moments I had while DMing. I figured this would be a cool idea to talk about certain games I'm going through and just kind of the behind the scenes of what's going on or things I'm thinking and feeling. And if you haven't guessed by the image of crazy lady going crazy, we're going to talk about Dents today. I'm not that actually frustrated with Dents. I think Dents is actually really good. I picked this little image because I feel like it's a pretty good Lovecraft game essentially at this point, and I felt I've been getting very, very into it. So for those of you who watch Dents, I feel like if you reach a point where you are genuinely worried for a fictitious character, I feel like you're doing a good job. I feel like you're actually, as a dungeon master, I think Melmoto's doing a great job, and I feel like it's like, well, I'm genuinely out of game, feeling guilt for getting Eddie into the situation he's in, and I'm genuinely worried for a fictional character's livelihood. For those of you who listened to the last session we had, Never Split the Party. If I appeared short with anybody or whatnot during the session, it's only because my fear was genuine. I was genuinely in a space where I was very much in Chelle's head, and I felt like what a Chelle right now is scared and confused and doesn't know what's going to happen, and is just trying to make the situation right, and there's no way she can do it. And there's and on top of that, there's so much she doesn't know. She doesn't know if the insects are going to kill her. She doesn't know if the order, the monster cops are going to get her. She doesn't know how this world works or how nothing makes sense at this point. She doesn't know if she's being watched or whatnot. It was all she wants to do is she wants to solve this problem, and she has no one to reach out to or to help her. So invariably, she wound up reaching out to a friend of hers from work. And now his life is on the line, as hers is as well. I'm not really frustrated with the game itself. The game, I think, is going very, very good. I thought it was a really good session. I mean, I barely felt the 5 hours we played during it. We just went. Again, it started off very, very tense. Where I'm just trying to go to the library, just trying to figure out how to get these bugs out of me. And it just kept going and going and going, and I thought it was a really good session. So overall, I'm happy with the game. But what I'm here to talk about today is something I've been thinking about. So I've been kind of pouring the situation over in my head, and the more I can think about it, as you'll notice by the title of this video, this is all that jerk Yanos' fault. This is all his fault. I know what you're thinking. Eddie, you're just whining. You're just whining because, you didn't roll right and you got torn to pieces. And you should have just gone along with Yanos. You should have just followed the very clear NPC character who knows everything. And everything would have been fine. You should just play this like D&D. You should just play this like Dungeons and Dragons and just follow the wizard character. That's what you should have done. But I've been really thinking about it, and it's like, no, okay, again, I'm digging the game. I'm digging the drama. I'm digging the, when we have action, the action's good. I'm digging the horror aspect of it and the mystery. I'm digging pretty much everything. I'm even digging whatever the hell Luxentius is doing with his batshit crazy character, Doug. We'll talk about Doug today. But, I was thinking about it. The situation that Chelle's in right now is 100% like Yanos' fault. I mean, yeah. There's plenty, she's fucked up, and there's plenty of stuff she's done that she could have done smarter. There's stuff I could have done that was smarter. I could have resisted the urge to roleplay, which I like to do. I could have played the character smarter. I had a tendency to play her a little, on several occasions during this game. I played her very much like horror movie character. You know, oh, I'm in a scary situation. What am I going to do? I'm going to scream and alert the monster to me. It's like, for all those you have no patience for a horror movie, I understand if you're frustrated with me. But, I figured, like, that's what she would do in this situation. I figured, like, that's what a normal person would do who is not expecting any of this. They would maybe freak out a little bit. So it's like, I tried to play her realistically, and as a result, I probably got myself into more trouble than anything else. But the more I thought about it, this entire situation is all Yanos' fault. He's the one that sent us the fucking dog. Let's think about it. Let's analyze this for a minute. So, Chelle is just living her life. She's just living her life. She works at a tattoo parlor. She's kind of going nowhere. She's just kind of partying around, going to bars and, and just, going to these weird illegal fight club things and stuff like that. And she's just kind of hanging out with this person she met, Doug, who's just kind of, I like to think of Doug arriving in Tampa as the inciting incident. It's like her life was just kind of mundane and boring up until this point. And then this man walks into her life that is just kind of interesting. And that's where the adventure begins. It was just like he was the first, interesting thing to come to Tampa in a long while. So she decided to start hanging out with him. And from there, like, the insanity begins. But it was like, think about it. All we were going together to go to the fight club. We were minding our own business, and Yanos sent us a dog. He sent us a dog to reach out to somebody, to let them know that he was in danger, and he needed help. He started us on this path by sending the dog to us, and from there, we got embroiled with the situation with the Wendigo. And all of this happened because of that. Now, to be fair, he was in a life or death situation. He was in a situation where he was captured by a monster who was going to brutally murder him in horrible, horrible ways. If I were in that situation and I called out to somebody for help, whether it would put them in harm's way or not, it was like, it's the type of thing where it's understandable. It's understandable. It's a life or death situation. You need help. You're going to... It makes perfect sense to do whatever you can to do to survive, whether it be call for help or get help in some kind of way. I understand that. It doesn't change the fact that he's the reason why we got into this mess. And moreover, we still don't know what Yanos' deal is. We don't know why he was fucking around with a cultivator in the first place. I mean, what was he doing there? Is he a superhero? Was he fighting this thing? Why did you have to go and screw with this creature? I mean, it's the Wendigo kills and murders people. So, stopping it is probably a noble thing. So maybe that's what he does. Maybe he's a monster hunter. Maybe that's what he knows. He's clearly a denter or something like that, where he knows more about the nature of reality, and he basically is trying to... Maybe he is indeed trying to stop these things. But it's like, I guess the thing I would like to point out is, like, okay, well, why didn't he go with the party? Why didn't he get allies that already have powers that would be prepared for this and take care of it? No. He got his ass caught. He got himself put in a life or death situation to the point where he had to reach out to two completely ordinary civilians. Well, reasonably ordinary civilians without superpowers, with no pretensions at being a superhero or being heroic, and dragged them into this mess. I'm gonna present a list of all the shit that he's responsible for at this point. First of all, because of him, a dog died. Yeah, the dog was pretty far gone. It was sick, and it was probably going to die anyway. It doesn't change the fact that if he hadn't sent it to us, we wouldn't have run it over with the car and it would have had a chance. So because of Yanos, a dog is dead. He killed a dog. He killed the puppy. That's not right. He also, because of him, I believe it sounds like he manipulated the situation to the point where we would wind up finding him, and we would finding him and the cultivator together. So, because of him, Muriel called the cops, and basically got all the people in the illegal fight club arrested. Dropped the cops right on us because he manipulated the situation. Now, I guess, like... How sympathetic should we have for these people? It's like, well, I guess that's open to your interpretation. I mean, to be fair, what they're doing is illegal, But at the end of the day, they're also willing. This is kind of like the equivalent of backyard wrestling. You're not supposed to do it, but it's like these people kind of know what they're getting into. They know the score, and they're kind of minding their own business. It's understandable. It's the type of thing where it's questionable. It's is it the thing that I would if it came up in like an election, should we allow illegal? Should you not need a license to run a backyard wrestling thing? It's like, I don't know if I'd vote on it. I probably wouldn't. But it was like, to be fair, these people may be criminals, but they're not. If they're exploiting anything, they're exploiting each other or exploiting themselves. It's like, as a result, he got all these people thrown in jail and stuff on their records because of that. He got us in this harrowing situation. We wound up running from the cops. We wound up in this situation where we were captured by a monster. And our lives were in a life or death situation. We had to fight a monster. We got mauled by a monster. My character and Doug's character, we both we had to do time in a hospital. My character had to spend a month in a hospital recovering. And she has no insurance, so she's now in debt because of this. It's like this, all to rescue this one fucker. It has vastly and adversely affected our lives. We could have died. We were horribly mauled, and our lives are thrown into chaos all because of him. But it's not just that. On top of that, unbeknownst to us, we're infected by these supernatural insect parasites, which are not good and shouldn't be in our system and are kind of weighing us down. And as a result, that made us a target for the Order. So the Order was going to kill us, which they would not have done if he had not got us into this situation. As a result, he tried to make up for it, so he wound up rescuing us by basically coming in and taking us to his little extra-dimensional castle thing. He then pours this crazy expedition dump, on Chelle just last minute. And again, we'll get into Doug in a minute, but it's like, Doug meanwhile is just like taking this in stride. He's like fucking Harry Potter. He's like, yes, magic's real. It's wonderful. While Shelly's like, oh God, magic's real. Monsters everywhere. What the fuck? Poor Chelle is putting this, information overload bullshit, which is just completely freaking her out. And then, and on top of that, this Yanos character doesn't have any empathy. He's kind of an alien. I'm not even sure if he's human. He's like an alien entity, or if nothing else, he has no experience or understanding of human emotions. And he's used to all this shit, but he has no appreciation of the fact that we're ordinary humans and we're not used to this. And then there's the cleaning. Then there's the cleaning with the flincer. All right, so he has us, in order to clean us, he has a fucking monster, some kind of alien monster, eat the bugs off of us, which apparently is the easiest way for him to do it. And again, I was trying to be realistic here, so, I had Chelle do a composure roll, and she didn't make it. She failed it. So upon seeing the insects inside of her own stomach, she let out a scream, which caused this wild alien animal to maul me and completely just knock me for 9 lethal right off the bat. This thing fucking mauled me instantaneously. She had no idea even what happened. She just saw red and then passed out. But basically, this thing ripped off part of my tit. It ripped off my nose. It ripped off all the skin on my hands. This thing horribly mauled me and caused me to bleed to death and almost caused me to die. And she's still suffering the effects of that. She took 5 ag damage for that. And I found out at the end of the last session, we didn't have to do that. We did not have to do that. He even admitted himself there are other ways to do this, but using the flincer is the easiest way for him. Or we can find a Bruja. We can find a Bruja or a shaman or someone in the real world who could just do a purification ritual, and boom, you're fine. Boom, you're fine. But no, let's have the tiger lick the things off you. Yeah, that's a smart idea. So that happened. I get healed, and apparently, whatever. So then she wakes up. She doesn't have any memory of what's happening here. They try to explain it to her, and she's like, this come to the realization she was horribly mauled by this monster. Oh, and by the way, I lost my tattoos because of that. Thank you very much. Lost my tats. That's not cool. She was mauled by a monster, and then, literally, okay, this is the true turning point. If he hadn't chosen to do what he was going to do, what he did, this would have gone down completely differently. If he hadn't have done that, if he had just let's move on, let's get you purified, and we'll be good to go. If he hadn't done what he did, this would have been totally different. Chelle would have been 100% on board. Her and Doug would still be allied with each other, and we would probably have gone the Dungeons and Dragons route, where we would become investigators or denters, or pick your random role-playing superheroes. Essentially, we would have done that, and everything would have been fine. But no, upon the mention that, oh, I don't like his cat, upon the mention that I don't really care for Harold, who fucking almost killed me, oh, he gets offended. He gets offended. Oh, Harold's really nice. Harold, like, no, he's not. He fucking mauled me. So she's a little perturbed by this, and so she's, they had a minor argument, and he just decides he doesn't want to deal with it, and he has no empathy for it, so he decides to use his powers on me and make me forget the entire situation, which causes her to not know what happened for the past, couple hours or so, and so she's wondering how she wound up in a Chase lounge, and it's like, what's going on? What happened? How'd I get here? It caused her to ask questions, essentially what had happened, and she figured out that basically he'd made her forget. And at that point, okay, so at this point, let's do a tally. Let's do a tally just in case, like, the memory loss didn't exist. So if the memory loss didn't exist, let's see. Okay. This fucker gets us in a life or death situation with the Wendigo. He makes up for it by rescuing us from the Order. Okay. He offers to help clean us. Okay. He tries to get us cleaned by Harold. Harold winds up mauling me when I wind up screaming too long. So he takes me to a healer and heals me. And then when all's said and done, so we're kind of one for one at this point. He keeps on, like, getting me in bad situations. He keeps on getting me in horrible life or death situations, but tries to make up for it. And then on top of what, we're even for a while, but he doesn't like the fact that we're having an argument. So he then tampers with my mind and takes my memories away. Okay. I'm going to deviate, as I often do, and talk about comics for a minute. There is a fucking reason why Professor Xavier rarely uses his psychic abilities to alter a person's mind. There's a reason why it is taught that psychics should not use or abuse such powers. It is a moral question of whether one should use their psychic abilities in order to affect a person's mind, because a mind is the most personal and private place a person has. So for a person that has the ability to control people's minds and wantonly does so is a monster and is oftentimes portrayed as a villain. It's a reason why Professor Xavier, the most powerful psychic in the Marvel Universe, rarely uses his powers and has a responsibility. He doesn't read people's minds without their permission. He doesn't control people's minds unless he absolutely has to. He reserves that power until it's absolutely necessary, because he understands what a violation it is to probe people's minds in that way. For those of you who've read Uncanny Avengers, the Red Shadow storyline, it's in like the Red Skull having Professor Xavier's brain and his powers is in sharp, wild contrast to Xavier himself. It makes you appreciate how good a person, regardless of his flaws, Professor Xavier was. Because then you see someone like the Red Skull with those same powers, and you see what he does, turning the whole city against itself, causing mass hatred to reign in the streets, causing people to beat humans and mutants to death, causing lovers to kill each other because they're a mutant, causing a father to kill his son because he's a mutant, just doing all these terrible, terrible things, and you appreciate how good of a person Xavier was and how responsible Xavier was with that power. Whereas, because in the hands of a monster, look what they can do. I also would like to bring up Babylon 5 for a moment, and I would like to bring up the concept of death of personality. For those of you familiar with Babylon 5, there's a couple of episodes that deal with this premise, in which a terrible murderer has his memories and personality altered, so that basically that malevolent persona that he has is essentially annihilated. And so instead of killing the person, they basically give them a benign, peaceful personality, so that they're not being killed, but they're essentially given a new lease on life. Of course, naturally, this is very ethically questionable, because you're essentially destroying the person's mind. You're taking away who they are. Other comics have played with this idea as well too. The controversial Identity Crisis from DC Comics explores the idea of the superheroes using Satana to mind wipe various villains, including Dr. Light. They did it to save people. They did it to save people like Sue Dinby and the other heroes' families who would be targeted by villains who knew their identities. but at what cost? They had to go and violate a person's mind, and to stop what they were doing, they had to violate Batman's mind. So, using your mental powers to fuck with people, that's, especially when you don't need to, is a no-no, as far as I'm concerned. It's like you're going in and you're violating a person's mind. It's a heinous act. And this guy, yeah, I get it. He doesn't have any concept of human emotions. He doesn't understand humans. Yeah, he's a fucking sociopath. He sees nothing wrong with it. He even jokes about isn't it great to win an argument? He jokes about basically violating her mind. So at this point, she has no memory of the Flint search. She has no memory of what happened there. All she knows about this asshole is he got us into this situation. He saved our lives, yes, but then now he's screwing with her mind. And just without her permission. He's making her forget things. He's touring with her. At this point, Shelley does not trust Yanos, nor does she like him. She thinks that he's this asshole who's unapologetic, he basically toyed with her mind and refused to explain what happened or what pertained. For all she knows, the two of them raped her or something like that. She doesn't know what's going on. But she's not cool with what's going on here, and he's a massive dick about it. He's basically saying, you are absurd. The things you're worrying about are ridiculous. It's like, he has no... I don't care whether this guy has no empathy for human emotions. It doesn't change the fact that he doesn't, and he's refusing to understand what she's going through, and is completely unsympathetic to it. And on top of that, he's this wild, powerful superhuman who can do whatever he feels like, has done whatever he's felt like, and has basically completely fucked with her life up until this point. So, yeah, she don't like Yanos too much. And if she runs into Yanos again, depending on the situation, we'll see what happens next session. But, my standard plan for Yanos as of that moment was, if he runs into me again, I'm going to pull my gun on him, and I'm going to say, you stay the fuck away from me. And if he doesn't leave, to shoot him. I consider Yanos a hostile from this point forward. We'll get back to Doug in a minute. Now there's Doug. Now there's, we're going to get back to Doug in a minute. But basically, she basically put her in this shitty situation where she doesn't trust this guy. He's like, all right, she wants away from this person. She doesn't trust him at all. Again, there was an easier way to go about this. There was an easier way to get rid of the insects. It was it wasn't easy for him, so whatever. She wants nothing to do with him. She wants to get away from him. She does so. I guess we probably should talk about Doug for a minute. Let's talk about Doug for a minute because, okay, then there's the split up between the two of them. So then, meanwhile, Doug starts acting like a dick. I feel like, okay, so Doug started acting like a dick during that conversation. I'll go into Doug into more detail. I think Doug deserves his own section. But, basically, Doug started acting a dick to her in this situation, which basically really just kind of evaporated any goodwill the two of them had between each other. And then he's so upset with the fact that basically because of her, she ruined his opportunity to learn more about magic and the supernatural, that he just does not care about the fact that basically she still has these bugs inside her, and she's going to be a target for the Order, and she may die. He just leaves and refuses to talk to her and refuses to say anything. So that's why he got a fucking brick to the driver's side window. Needless to say, for Doug, in short, she does not like Doug right now. Doug can kind of fuck off. At least at this point in the story, she doesn't. Later on, towards the end of the last session, her opinion of Doug will change slightly due to what's going on. So now she's desperately trying to fix this herself. And so she tried using her computer skills and her investigation skills in order to, and the occult skills I bought, which don't really amount to much, to kind of figure out how to get rid of the insects. So I basically go on this long adventure where I'm doing research. I find the information on Subsys. I go back to my apartment and I see a bunch of those cop cars waiting for me, and it's like, no monster cops. No monster cops that are going to fucking destroy me. I gotta get out of here. So she goes and she talks to Eddie. So again, she doesn't have Doug anymore. Doug, needless to say, she feels betrayed by Doug, and she's really mad at him. And I think she should feel betrayed by him, honestly. Which again, I feel like is also Yanos' fault. But again, I'll go more into how she feels about Doug in a little bit. But basically, yeah, she's got no one right now. She's got no one to help her out. So, yeah, she basically just... she got scared. She wants to get this done now. She wants to get this resolved now. She's tried everything in her power to basically to do so. So she's got no one to talk to about this, no one that can help her about this. So yeah, she basically she poured her heart out to Eddie. She poured her heart out to Eddie, had asked Eddie to help her out. And so yeah, that's what she did. And she was so desperate and scared, she didn't notice or care for the fact that basically she wasn't being careful this entire time. And she was making phone calls and basically doing things on other people's Pornhub accounts that might alert the supernatural spies that are apparently watching at all times. She gets even more in debt, to Subsis, who did absolutely nothing as far as we know. She basically spent $2,000 to her she'll never see again. Subsis never fucking shows up. And finally, she finally takes Eddie's clue to basically, well, why don't you go talk to the Bruja, talk to his aunt. And so, following that clue, she goes and sees the Bruja. The Bruja does what the Flintser could have done, what Yanos could have done, without involving a giant monster that could rip her to pieces. The Bruja takes care of it. She gets rid of the insects, and she goes back, or tries to go back, and then discovers that Eddie has been abducted by the Order. And they're going to kill him. They're torturing him and are going to kill him if she doesn't show up. And for all those of you who are listening, I think it should be pretty clear that they're going to kill her. They're going to kill her. As far as they know, she has still got the bugs inside of her. She's made a lot of noise that could alert people to the presence of the supernatural. They're going to fucking kill her. There's no reason they wouldn't kill her. They can basically they appear to be cops, so they got the law on their side. So attacking them will essentially just brand you as a criminal or a terrorist. They have the ability to basically just kind of use this energy that kills you from a distance. They basically were able to kill everything organic inside of her house, just by with this kind of fire that nobody could see, and they could do that to her. And they have, I guarantee you, they have no intention of letting either Chelle or Eddie make it out of the situation. And again, all of this bullshit is because of Yanos. Yanos got us into the situation, and Yanos, it could have ended right there and then with the argument about, Yanos could have just taken the insult and realized, hey, look, it's all because of Yanos it's all because Yanos got us involved with the Wendigo. But it's like, Yanos could have just taken the insult about Harold. He could have just taken it and let it go. And it would have gone standard D&D fare. We've got a new mentor character now who's going to inform us about stuff like that. I would still be aligned with Doug. Eddie wouldn't be in danger. I wouldn't be probably in no more in danger with the Order, or basically the Order may not. The Order, for all we know, none of this would have progressed to a point where the Order would be directly targeting us. And everything would have been cool. But no, Yanos decided to be a dick and win the argument by erasing her memory. And by the way, if it isn't apparent, he didn't fucking win it. It created more problems, and I honestly think it's going to get back to bite him. I as crazy as I think this can get, it can honestly bite him in the ass. And all of that is on Yanos. All that is on Yanos. We're in this situation because of Yanos. At least she's in the situation because of Yanos. So yeah, fuck Yanos. Now, about my protocol for Yanos. Again, what I was going to do prior to this, if she runs into Yanos again, it's like she's going to back off, and if he doesn't back off, she was going to kill him. Now, given the situation right now, if Yanos were to approach her, that's how she would start it, essentially. But if Yanos were to approach her and say he's going to willing to help her, right now she's so desperate to get help for herself and Eddie, she's probably not going to care. And she'll probably relent, and we could go from that point. But right now, Yanos is an asshole. He's a superpowered asshole who's a sociopath and doesn't understand human emotions. You're silly. He's a prick. He's a fucking prick. Fuck Yanos. Yanos is an asshole. She is in this situation because of Yanos. That's the thing. I've been trying to play her realistically. I've been trying to play her like a normal person thrown into this crazy situation. She was, she screamed a couple times because, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you if you saw this shit? If you saw that your stomach was really distended and you had fucking bugs in it and it's being pulled out by a fucking Lovecraft nightmare monster? Yeah, you might, and you might wind up in her situation. And she panicked. She panicked and acted and didn't make the best calls, and now she's going to try to make up for it because she feels personally guilty about what happened to Eddie, and she's going to try to fix that. But yeah, this is Yanos' fault. Yanos is a prick. Yanos got her in this situation. Yanos and Harold can fuck off. Yeah, just Yanos and Harold can fuck off. And for the record, again, I rolled. I got. I'm a D20 boy, so I kind of got D20 Dungeons and Dragons alignment stuck in my head. Yeah, for the record, her alignment is neutral. I intended her always to be a neutral alignment. I was gonna leave him to die in the Wendigos lair. I was gonna do that. She was just, let's just get the fuck out of here. I went through the hole, but no, Doug wanted to be a superhero, and so Doug saved him. And I think that's I think the initial reaction is usually the right one. We should have left Yanos to die. Fuck that guy. We would have done what he should have done, kill the Wendigo, and we also would have taken care of his punk ass as well. So that's my feelings on Yanos. Okay, and this is probably a good segue to talk about Doug. Okay, so my feelings on Doug, or Shelly's feelings on Doug right now. Okay, so again, out of everything, I feel like a lot of this kind of boils down to the fact that basically is at least for these two characters, Auxenius and I have two completely different play styles and two completely different concepts for what our characters are supposed to be. I am trying to play a somewhat realistic character. I don't know if I'm succeeding or not, but I'm trying to play a somewhat realistic, if not a little skanky character. Like, I had this idea for this biker lady, and I'm trying to basically, she's a civilian. She's going to react to things like a normal person was. At least she was acting that way. Now I might be going into superhero territory with what's going to go down with her lately, but we'll see. So she kind of reacts to things like a normal person. She doesn't believe in the supernatural. She doesn't know it exists or whatnot. And meanwhile, Auxenius isn't doing that. Auxenius is going this from this perspective of, he's playing Doug like a superhero. Auxenius' concept for Doug is Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist. And he's playing him like that. So as a result, he is playing this giant, crazy, muscular German boxer guy who says, hello, my lady, this way, citizen. He's playing a superhero right now. And I think a lot of what he's doing right now, and especially what he was doing last session, was basically designed to, he now knows magic exists. He wants to basically get his alchemy powers now. He wants to make this more... I've done this before, too, where I have a concept that's a little bit beyond the scope of the game, where I want to play something crazy and superhuman and whatnot, but it's not really what the game calls for. So, but whenever I get the chance and I have the ability to kind of make the character more like my initial concept, I'll do it. So I think that's where he's kind of coming from right now. But the thing is, in spite of everything that's happened, in spite of all the monsters, of all the superpowers, of all the gaps in reality, the unseen horrors, in spite of everything weird that's going on right now, as far as Shelley's concerned, the weirdest thing is just Doug himself. It's just Doug himself. He's this weird, bizarre alien creature who talks like he's from the 1840s, who is he's this guy's trying to be a superhero, walking around like, I'm going to be the best boxer in the world because I'm from a Street Fighter character. I'm a Street Fighter character. And it's like he's walking around and he's obsessed with rocks and cups, and he has them in the back of his car, and the weeaboo thing doesn't help. It's just like he is just fucking on Mars. He is from Mars, and she cannot get over it. And I mean, as for her personal opinion of him, all right. So the joke is that she's trying to sleep with him all the time, and everybody's giving me shit for that. And it's like, okay, to be fair, when we were coming up with characters ourselves, and I was talking to Auxenius basically threw me the ideas that, oh, we should have our characters date each other. That was his idea. So don't even start. He was like, oh, I demand a cuteness score from this character. Well, I gave him my cuteness scores. I have presence 3. Yeah, so don't even start. Don't even act like I'm trying to come on to Auxenius. Auxenius was coming on to me first. That makes it okay. This got weird. Anyway, So, but yeah, it's like, her attitude towards Doug is the first kind of interesting and unusual thing that's come to town in a long time, and he fucking is. He's a fucking weirdo. But it's like, in terms of our relationship to each other, yeah, I was kind of like, I had this weird, like, scale in the back of my head of her opinion of him over time. And it's like, it started off like, okay, this guy's kind of interesting, I'm going to hang out with this guy. And as for the two of them potentially dating, that has been something I've, like, I was kind of toying around with. Oh, by the way, another weird thing about the guy is, like, he flaunts money, like, left or right, and he's got women throwing pussy at him left and right, and he just won't take it, including my character. Yeah, he just lets it bounce off his muscles. He doesn't care. I guess it makes it more pimp. I don't know. But anyway. But yeah, I had this kind of sliding scale, and it's like, all right, he's this interesting, weird guy. He's, he's muscular, he's good looking. He's really nice to her at the bar. So it's like, this guy's kind of neat. It's like, he did get her interested at a point, and then it was like, all right, if he pursues it any further, or if he does anything, particularly noteworthy or nice to her, she's gonna actively pursue him. And I figured that was what I had in my head. And then it wound up not happening. Then they hung out with each other a little bit. He stood her up to go watch anime, and it was like okay, that tanked her opinion of him a little bit. The Rocks was really what kind of derailed any potential romantic interest from her. It was like, that was just too weird. And so it's like, okay, so at that point he's in the friend zone. He's just squarely in the friend zone. But he was a friend. So then they fought a monster together, and that's a good bonding thing, fighting. That's why she invited him over for tea. Everything was cool. And then we have the incident with Yanos. And the thing is, it's like, during that incident, while she's trying to understand what's going on, she's trying to put things together, he starts insulting her. He starts calling her little girl again. He was like, oh, like, don't do anything stupid next time. It was just like, he basically just started taking Yanos' side and being completely not caring about how she feels about this or what's happened to her. And just doesn't give a rat's ass. Why? Because, he's so happy he's discovered magic's real. And I feel like at this point, this is the point where they really divide more than anything else, is because, yeah. Oh, another weird thing about Doug is, Doug actually, on top of that, not only is what else, another reason to point out that Doug's weird, Doug actually did the shit, like the shit Silent Bob did in Mallrats, where he's trying to make a cup move with the Force. The fuck, man. That's what he did. That's what he did past session. But it's like, he's fascinated and enchanted by the fact that there's this whole other world that he wants to believe in. There's something more, and so he's so excited about it. Whereas Chelle, I think, is understandably horrified by all this. If she had a moment to sit and digest, she might be taken in by the wonder of it all. But right now, it's scary and horrifying, and it's happening too quickly. It's an overload to her. And there's no appreciation of that. And he's actually just irritated that basically she ruined his opportunity to learn about magic. That's really what it boils down to. He's mad about that, and he knows her life is in danger. He knows she has insects still inside her. He knows the Order might come after her. So he just leaves and refuses to help her. So yeah, rock to the car, rock to the window. Fuck the guy. And like, I think one thing that I think we're gonna see what happens in this next session, because I think one thing one thing I was thinking about was kind of annoying me was, it was like, all right, so this guy, like, is allegedly hitting. Again, we're D20 boys, so we think in terms of alignments. So it's like, this guy is supposed to be chaotic good or something like that. That's why he rescued Yanos and all that. And it's like, okay, but like, he's gonna do absolutely nothing to help this person who's supposed to be a friend of his. She's still got the insects inside of him. She's still, like, being threatened. Like, she still could be threatened by the Order. He's going to do nothing. He's not going to help her, like, resolve this or figure this out. He's just going to walk away. He's going to walk away and potentially leave her to die. And now that she's calling him for help, he's probably going to do the same thing again. And at which point, I will request that Malamoto have him do a morality roll to see whether or not he doesn't lose a point of morality. Because it's, at this point, he's basically putting himself in a situation where he's going to allow his friend to die, two friends to die a horrible death, whereas all he did that session was fart around looking up magic and trying to make a fucking cup move. So, apparently that was more important than helping somebody. So you'll help the prick who got us in this situation. You'll help the asshole who basically almost got us killed by a fucking Wendigo. But you're not going to help the girl that you've been hanging out with for the past couple months. You're not going to help her. You're not going to hang out with the guy that got you the fight gigs. No, fuck those guys. Fuck those guys. So, yeah, she's not too impressed with Doug right now. Doug's, like, quirks, like, she could forgive Doug just being weird, but, like, she can't really forgive him just kind of not helping her. And it's like, so like right now she's like, her attitude to Doug is like, whereas she will shoot Yanos on sight if need be. She's not going to shoot Doug, but like her opinion of Doug was like, go fuck yourself, Doug. Her attitude, if we're using D20, where like we're using D20 terms for attitudes to other characters, her attitude towards Yanos is hostile. Her attitude towards Doug is unfriendly. Until the very ending, where basically now it's apparent that the Order has Eddie hostage. Now she's back to desperate and needs help, and so she's going to try to call. That's why she called Doug for backup. And hopefully Doug will do the right thing and help. We'll see what happens. We'll see what Auxentius chooses to do next time. We'll see. Let's test that morality. Let's test that chaotic good, if we will, for a moment. You're willing to help a stranger who actually got us into the situation, but your friend you've known for a month, are you going to abandon her? Are you going to abandon your friend Eddie, who got you all those fights? You going to do that? Be really shitty, Mr. Chaotic Good. That'd be really, really shitty. I can understand Flutterbudget's pulling that shit. I can't. But if Doug is a good person, allegedly, I don't understand him doing that. And it's interesting to know, again, like, you know, like Doug is, I swear to God, he is the weirdest fucking thing in this game. He is the weirdest, not the fucking, like, the Order or the monsters or anything, nothing. Even, like he's the, like, you know, he is, especially to Chelle, he is the most bizarre entity in all of this bullshit. Which is interesting, because, for those of you who've been following Dents, we've talked about it a couple times, there's something in Chelle's backstory, which is unusual, which I gave Malmodo to just kind of play around with in terms of the storytelling, where she may not be as normal as she thinks she is. What is known is that she was born on a ship traveling through the Bermuda Triangle, and she's been having a lot of these weird, like kind of night terrors that have been, or like you know, fever dreams that have been echoing back to her, like coming up out of the ocean or something, like coming up out of this cool sea around people. She's having these weird flashes of all this stuff, and it's basically I actually built her backstory with just a little insight into how I created Chelle. I built her backstory with Central Casting Heroes of Legend, for those of you familiar with that. Central Casting Heroes of Legend is a really old supplement for role-playing games designed to build the backstory for your character. It's really fun. It's really cool. You can find the PDF on it for free. Spoonie talked about it a long time ago in one of his Counter Monkeys. It's really fun, and I haven't been able to find anything equivalent to it. It's primarily for fantasy games. It's primarily for Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. I haven't found an equivalent for it for modern or futuristic or science fiction settings. I really would like to find one, though, or something that kind of has like everything. Like maybe Savage Worlds could come up with like some kind of supplement that, like, you know, has a little bit of everything, or is really crazy. So I actually built her backstory in that, and of course the problem with it, though, was that it was a little too batshit insane, and it was like just really, really crazy. There was some really crazy shit on there, and on top of that, there was also it was definitely geared more towards a fantasy setting, and of course we're setting it in present day Earth. So I told it to Malmodo, and he said, all right, he wouldn't. He couldn't be that crazy, so I decided to go over it, and I toned down the crazier stuff, and I geared it more. I kind of went through and edited it, and I toned down some of the crazier aspects of it, and I also toned down. I basically kind of geared it all for a fantasy setting. Like initially, like one of my sisters was supposed to worship some kind of underworld goddess. I decided to go in and say, okay, she's a goth. She doesn't worship an underworld goddess, but she's like a goth chick, and that's her thing. There was something else that was kind of weird, so we decided to, like, her youngest sister's like a gamer girl. She's really nerdy and plays video games all the time. There's a lot of things we just kind of toned down and make more sense, essentially. But one of the things that he liked and that we kept was that she may have been born in another dimension. So it may be that, yeah, she was born in another dimension. We don't know yet. Chelle doesn't know yet, and frankly, I don't know yet. I think, like, for what I've established for the backstory is she knows about the Bermuda Triangle thing. That's like a common story in the family. It's like, oh, you were probably like a joke within the family. But you know that. But she, you know, again, she was a baby. She doesn't remember anything. So you know, that's yet to be revealed. So yeah, like she turns out like you know, Doug, meanwhile, is the most normal out of the two of us. He has no crazy backstory like that. He's just a guy, and yet he is still the strangest fucking thing in the world. This bizarre German dude who is a master boxer, who's also a master of the occult, who talks to people like, like they're just talks to people like he's Lord Melbury. In modern day Tampa, Florida, it's like weird. Yeah, he's the weirdest fucking thing. He's into rocks and cups and anime, and it's like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? All right, so since I know Malmoto likes to listen to these things, I'm going to give Malmoto the opportunity to fuck me over even harder by talking about what my plans are for next week, or whenever we play next. Basically, it's like, so given the situation, what's the situation we've been putting through, I've been doing a little bit of strategizing, and I've been thinking about what I'm going to do. So here is Malmoto's opportunity to listen to what I'm planning, and to take that and completely fuck me over with it. And it's like, no, that's not going to work. No, that's going to work. Whatever. But if he wants to get a clue into what I'm going through, what's going through my head, here it is. Okay, so as I said before, it's clear to me the Order is not going to let either one of us live. They are not going to let Chelle live. They're not going to let Eddie live. They're going to kill us both. So, unfortunately, this puts me in the horrible position of where about the only thing I can do. Because I feel like after everything that's happened, Chelle's actually kind of gone through, she actually has kind of gone through a spiritual kind of religious experience. It's like, I may, again, we don't use D&D alignments, but I was thinking about maybe even like, for my own personal notes, maybe shifting her like to good. Because after all this harrowing experience, she's very grateful to the Bruja for getting rid of the bugs for her. And in particular, she's really grateful to Eddie for helping her out. And now, but because of that, because of what Eddie did for her, Eddie's going to die, and he's being tortured. So part of her wants to do the right thing, and she wants to help him out in this situation. And even if I were to be a total bitch and just and maintain her neutral alignment, well, let's put it this way: I'm probably going to have more encounters with cultivators and other monsters, and if that happens, I'm going to have more encounters with insects. And I don't trust Yanos. Yanos can fuck off. And the only reliable source I have that can purify people is the Bruja. And how do you think the Bruja's going to react if she finds out I got her nephew killed because I was irresponsible? She's probably not going to help me. So even from a purely practical, selfish standpoint, I got to maintain this relationship. So I got to basically, I have to rescue Eddie. I have to do it. The problem is, about the only way I could probably do that is by going and fighting the Order. And the problem is, the Order are cops. You have no idea how scary this is to me. Because it's like, not only, like, here's the thing. Again, we set this in Tampa. I've got a little bit of an insight to how the police work in Tampa. My members of my family have been in law enforcement, and I do security and whatnot. So I mean, I kind of know how like TPD and Hillsborough County work. I kind of know how they handle things. So like that's terrifying to me because I know how they work. I know what would happen if like you would have to go against them. It's like, oh God, she's gonna die. She's gonna fucking die. It's like she's like, but it's bad enough that she has to go against the cops. She has to go against evil, supernatural, corrupt cops that can kill you with like their thoughts. Yeah, she's fucking boned. But again, these guys are evil. They're gonna kill Eddie. They're gonna kill her. She's got no choice at this point. So my only real option at this point, as far as I can see, is to ride in their guns a-blazing. And the problem with that is, again, this is, as is the theme with World of Darkness. The World of Darkness is a secret world. Nobody knows vampires exist. Nobody knows werewolves or mages exist or any of that other stuff exists. And they sure as hell don't know about denters or fragmentation or any of the supernatural monsters that exist. They don't know about any of this stuff. So all it's going to appear is like, Chelle went crazy one day and decided to attack the cops. And she's either a crazy person or a fucking terrorist. That's what it's going to look like. I'm absolutely fucked. My character is absolutely fucked right now. But she has no choice. She has to go up and fight these things. So what I'm thinking is I've got that nice little contacts, thing on my... I might as well use this shit that I've got. I've got my contacts. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is she's going to probably make another quick stop and she's going to make some phone calls. And I'm going to basically call my biker contacts, my criminal contacts, my military contacts, and I'm going to try calling Doug one more time. And my plan is I'm going to try to call them and basically, for the bikers, I'm going to say, hey, do you want to know, like, I'm basically inform them. I'm more or less going to tell these people the truth without trying to sound like a crazy person. I'm going to tell them that, like, they're these dirty cops and they've got Eddie. They're torturing him. They're going to kill him unless I go see them. I don't know what they're, maybe, and she's probably going to exaggerate a little bit. I don't know. Maybe maybe they want to rape me or something like that. Maybe they want to fuck me or something like that. But she's also going to let it slip that basically to the bikers, who are, I believe, the same people that, like, the same dudes who were at the fight club, that basically, hey, you know, and I think these are the same guys that basically got everybody arrested, that basically attacked everybody at the club. She's going to try to get the bikers on the side. Criminal context, she's going to see if she can get some, like, hired guns. And military, she's going to try to, like, she's going to basically try to get them to help out, too. With her military contacts, like, there's something, and she's basically going to intimate that there's something wrong with these cops. They're like, there's something off about them. They're dirty. She doesn't know the deals about them, but they're going to kill. She's basically going to let it slip to all these friends of hers that basically, like, they're going to kill her. They're going to do something bad to her. And they're going to do something bad to Eddie, and she needs help. And it's no guarantee I'm going to actually get them on my side, but it's worth a shot. What I was also thinking was, I figured, like, they're either going to be at 3 locations. They're either going to be at the tattoo parlor, Shelly's apartment, or Eduardo's apartment. And when I get into town, I'm probably going to see their black police cars. So what I thought I might do is, like, now if I can get an army of bikers to help me out, this is going to be. I was thinking, like, we could make this attack on these guys and it would look better, and it could be, we could spread the information that it was like retribution for the whole Fight Club thing. Or I was even thinking, just for funsies, it was like she could talk to the criminals, and it's like, hey, like, well, what did they question us? What did they go after us? It's like, I was thinking, like, one thing we could do is we could actually pretend to be ISIS. We could actually, like, if I can get one of the criminals to, like, make, like, a quick ISIS flag, and we'll, like, wear all black or something like that. If they're going to think it's a terrorist attack, well, let's make them think it's a terrorist attack. Let's, like, I was thinking of having that happen. But what I was also thinking, like, what Chelle could do is Chelle could also go to a liquor store, get some, like, a 12-pack, like, a 6-pack of beer, or get like a 6-pack of like bottled beer or something like that. Just get some liquor, get a newspaper, and like a book bag, and make myself some Molotov cocktails. So when I see those black cop cars that the Order are hiding in, what she could do is she could roll up. If I have to go into combat, she could roll up and then toss the Molotov cocktails on the cars. Now here's the thing. These things are powerful, and they can kick my ass, and I have no bones that Chelle may die in this next session. And if that's the case, hey, it was really fun playing her. She's going to do the best she can. She's going to try to save her friend. If she dies, she dies. I'll roll up a new character. But here's the thing. We're playing World of Darkness. Look, I know for a fact it is not impossible to kill these things. If we could kill a Wendigo, we could kill these things. Okay? It's all a matter of, like, everybody's got bashing, lethal, and ag for their stats. So it's like it's just a matter of basically remembering that these things are not invincible, they're not immortal. It is possible to kill them. And I think especially if I'm using fire, which I know causes ag damage, that might give me an edge in fighting the Order. Like, no matter what supernatural they're capable of, I think a little bit of fire Scarecrow would do the trick. Other than that, I've got guns. If I can get guns for my criminal, military, or biker contacts, I get better guns. Great, but she's got a double barrel shotgun. Which is with her. She can basically get it ready in an alleyway before she goes and attacks them. She's got a handgun, and So basically, other than that, just go in and shoot and get Eddie out of there and get to safety. Now, if Doug doesn't act like a bitch and actually helps her out, what I'm thinking is Doug, meanwhile, way back in the second session, bought a rifle, and that gun should be ready by now. Doug could basically give me some cover, some sniper cover. If I can't get all the support, if I can't get people to help me actually fight, she could basically do like a hostage negotiation thing and have Doug basically on a nearby building in a sniper position, and based on the proper signals to start taking them out. And at that point, we got to kill the Order. We got to rescue Eddie. We got to get the fuck out of town. And beyond that, what I think I will do is basically I'll have her hide in like she'll go to Suitcase City. She'll go to Ybor, the rough part of Ybor City. Get in touch with their criminal contacts, see if they can smuggle her to Cuba. And that's my next plan. So there you go, Malmoto. That's what I got. That's my plan. That's what's running through my head right now. We'll go from there. Now, what I'm not sure what happened is now, even though I said that, like, Yanos can fuck off, and by the title of this thing will definitely be apparent that she doesn't have a high opinion of Yanos. If Yanos shows up to help and get some supernatural aid, at this point she'll take it. If Subsys shows up and is willing to give some aid, she'll take it. Although, right now, she has a very low opinion of both of those people, especially Subsys, who didn't even fucking show up. And she probably, I will also probably get some pretty decent drama in the next couple sessions. Like, if I give it a chance, well, she'll definitely give it to those two verbally. If Doug doesn't help her, she's gonna tell Doug to fuck off again. and I'm gonna demand a morality check on him, because at this point he should know that that like they're gonna die. That Eddie and Chelle are gonna die if he doesn't help. So so that is, I think that's what this is gonna be for Frustrated Players Corner. Frustrated Player Corner is gonna be about just kind of like, it's gonna be not just if there's something in particularly frustrating about a game, oh, I'll definitely talk about it. But in particular, what I have in mind here is yeah, he's working. Okay. Sorry, I was distracted. Sorry, folks. Got distracted for a minute by something. All right. Yeah. So anyway, what this might be is, instead of just me being frustrated, or like, if I have something frustrating to talk about a certain game, if I have something to bitch about, yeah, this will be the place to be. This will be the playlist to check it out. There'll probably be a different picture each time. I figured this would. Crazy Lady from Lovecraft is probably appropriate for this one, but basically, if nothing else, this would be a great forum to kind of talk about what's going through my mind about a given game or whatnot. So, Frustrated DM's Corner is going to be where I talk about games that I wrn. Frustrated Players Corner is where I'm talking about games that I'm actually playing. So, okay. And I'm running out of steam, but yeah, basically that's how that's what's going on with Chelle and Dents. So I hope you love it. I hope, please, if you haven't checked out the Dents game, check out the Dents game. I think it's a pretty, Malmoto's done some really good work with this game. It's a really fun, crazy, psychological horror thriller. It's really good. And check out my channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff. This is the Dread Pirate signing off. And stay scared, folks. Stay scared.